Jurgen Klinsmann, your former side Spurs, of course, looking good yesterday. A great win for Jose Mourinho's team against Manchester City. Where do you stand on their title chances?
Well, I mentioned it several times that there is definitely a chance this year to win the title. And if they really kind of get this piece of mentality that, you know, transmits Jose Mourinho, he's a winner. He's a nasty piece of a coach, I would call him. And if he kind of transmits that to his squad, this belief that it's going to be a marathon, it's going to be a long, long way, but it's going to be a fascinating battle between the top teams there in England this year. I think Spurs definitely has the roster. They have the players to win it this year.
Stevie, where do you stand on Spurs?
Can you say that again?
They have everything. They have everything except I'm not so sure that they have the confidence to go and just outplay teams. You know, we saw Spurs sitting tight, men behind the ball, breaking against City, fantastic victory. But when have we seen Spurs, from the first whistle to the last whistle, go and dominate teams? And we haven't seen that at all. And so I think they've got the squad that can do that.
Stevie, Spurs fans are shouting Manchester United, they're shouting Southampton at the screens right now.
Why would they do that?
Well, because they thrash United 6-1 and they beat Southampton 6-2. That's dominating, isn't it?
Well, I'm not so sure. Listen, again, it's playing on the break. You know, when they played Manchester United, they sat tight. They didn't go and go toe to toe with Manchester United because he doesn't do that.
But if it works, Stevie, what's the problem with that?
I don't see how a side can go around the Premier League, regardless of who you're playing, and just sit tight and think that you're going to win the Premier League by doing that. You can't do that for 12 months. And there's one here's the most important thing. I'm not so sure that you can keep players on your side for a whole season if you're going to ask them to do the type of dirty work that they did against City for 90 minutes every time they step on the field. That's a hard thing to do, to keep them on side. You can't keep doing it. You can ask them to do it on occasions, but you can't keep really doing that. So I'm not convinced. I'm not.
Jurgen, does Stevie have a point?
I think Stevie has a point, definitely. I mean, throughout the whole season, the big part of it is locker room management. You know, how to keep your players excited, how to keep them. They're motivated by themselves. They want to badly win titles, you know. But you got to build that chemistry, that they're all on the same page, that they're really convinced this is the right direction, and so this kind of type of management, having everybody behind you. That's what Jurgen Klopp did so amazingly over the last 2 or 3 years with Liverpool. You know, he got them excited and obviously a very attacking minded style. And this is the big question mark at Spurs. You know, do they melt? Do they really believe in this approach? Which, I mean, Mourinho proved that his approach can win championships. I mean, he did that so many times. So, but everybody needs to be on board. Everybody has to sign up for that throughout the entire year. And Steve has a very crucial point in that.
Shaka, where do you stand on Spurs? Are they the real deal? Go on, Steve.
Sorry, go ahead, Stu.
No, look at Real Madrid. The players couldn't stick him by the end because they were Real Madrid. They were the Galacticos. They were going out and outplaying teams, and then Mourinho comes along. And they're starting to play on the counter-attack. The players had enough of it.
But they won, Stevie. They won.
Why did he run them out of town?
They won with record points. They won La Liga. And if you're a Spurs fan, and surely, Stevie, if you're in that Spurs locker room, none of them have won the Premier League before. You do whatever Jose Mourinho tells you because you believe him. He's a winner, and he's going to lead you to the title. Why would you doubt it? Why would you question it?
Well, Premier League's not a two-team league.
Well, it has been for the last 3 seasons.
Well, you know, you're talking about why would they question it? Well, they will question it. Dan, I can assure you, if all you're doing is defending and then having to run 50, 60 or 70 yards in order to create a chance and score a goal, you get pretty sick of that. You get pretty sick of that, Dan. And Tottenham haven't exactly. You know, you're talking about winning games. They haven't been. It hasn't been flowing football. All of a sudden, they've had spots where they scored 2 or 3 goals. The games you threw in, that's what's happened in them. So I can assure you, players will get sick of absolutely running their guts out every single time they step on the field just to defend.
I think the comparison between Spurs and Real Madrid is an unfair one. Real Madrid, one of the biggest clubs in world football, so dominant domestically and in Europe. But if you draw a parallel to what Mourinho's doing at Spurs now and what he did with Inter Milan, he had Samuel Eto'o playing almost at left back at times for an entire season, and it brought success. I think if you try to sell exactly that to Spurs, it can last for a season. Right. I don't see it lasting for 2, but you have to have success this time around. I think Spurs can get better. The one thing we know is they're hard to beat. And up against top of the table opposition, as we saw against City, they are going to have a game plan to stop you, and they are going to hit you on the break, and they have the pace to do it. Son and Lo Celso late on, and if Gareth Bale comes back to anything like the kind of form that we know, and he is able to contribute meaningfully in the second half of the season in the run-in, certainly they have the ingredients to go on and win this league. Now, that takes a lot of ifs, ands and buts. It has nothing to do with Spurs as well. It means that somehow Liverpool can't continue to cope with any more injuries and Chelsea fall off. But right now, this is as good a Spurs team as we've seen, and potentially as close to a title-winning team as from Spurs that we've seen for many a year.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.